Welcome to this solar-powered yoga practice for your ovulatory phase. This is a pivotal point in our monthly cycle where energy is peaking. We have a surge of testosterone and elevated estrogen hormones, and that can leave us feeling radiant and magnetic. It can also create a bit of kind of wired energy where there's a state of arousal in the body and mind. So in today's practice, we're going to leverage both of those qualities. We are moving into very deep back bending and sort of powerful flow where we have a quicker pace, more dynamic practice. So we're tapping into that heightened energy source, but we're also providing a deep grounding. So this practice can be slow and kind of focused at times between our periods of heating and kind of amplified practice. So it'll give you kind of that opportunity to find your center and to really ground into that energetic space. This is part of our self-love series, and this practice is designed to help you express your deepest self-love. So we're breaking into the upper back, the front and back of the heart. We are lengthening the spine so that you can literally take up more space in the world and expand into your greatest expressions of self-love. Today's practice is a challenging one, and it's a time when in the ovulatory phase where mind and body are open to these new ideas, new movement patterns. So really just enter this practice with an open mind and be patient with yourself as you try new things, particularly as we go into single leg balance postures, as we open the backs of the legs, which can be a chronically tight space for modern humans, where it requires a bit of kind of chipping away and carving away until we get into those deeper expressions of these postures. You might like to have a block or an elevated surface for this practice where you can simply enter kind of a more comfortable alignment by bringing the surface of your mat up a bit higher. Other than that, all you will need is your mat and your breath. And let's get started with today's movement practice. Welcome to this solar-powered yoga practice for your ovulatory phase. We will jump right in, beginning at the top of your mat. Join me there. Really root down through your feet, lift up through your spine. Find your center here by moving forward and back, side to side, so that you feel stability from the inside out. Draw in your deepest breath through the nose. And then with an exhale, sigh it out. In today's practice, we are generating heat. We are cultivating energy, that solar-powered energy. So a bit of the masculine quality, the solar qualities here. So as we embody that, inhale, reach the arms high. On the exhale, generous bend in the knees as you fold. Release the head and neck. Inhale, lift halfway. Sun salutation variation here. Step back into plank on your inhale. Lower the knees, take a breath. We'll enjoy 3 rounds of chaturanga here with the knees down. Big inhale. As you exhale, bend the elbows back, send the heart forward, lower. Inhale, press up. So the body moves as a single unit all the way down and press up. Last one, exhale and press up. From here, lower all the way to the earth. Let the legs lengthen back. Keep your fingertips, your hands under your shoulders, and hug your elbows into your sides. Soften the shoulders away from the ears. Heavy the lower body. Inhale, baby cobra. Just exploring this opening back bend. So stretching back through the legs, lifting up through the heart, activating the rivers of the spine. On your exhale, release. Keep the knees grounded, tuck the toes. Inhale, plank. And exhale, downward facing dog. We'll just be here for a breath as a touch point. Then as you inhale, gaze forward, bend your knees, lift your heels. Step the feet to the hands, forward bend. Inhale, lift halfway. And as you exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up, reach up, stretch the arms overhead. And exhale, hands melt down through the heart. So we're moving a bit quickly here through these first rounds of Sun A. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift halfway. As you exhale, step back to plank. Pause for the inhale breath. And here you can keep the knees elevated or you can bring them back down. 3 rounds of chaturanga now, building the heat a bit more. Inhale breath. As you exhale, lower, let the heart float. The body is a unit. Inhale, come up. As you exhale, it can also be a smaller range of motion, so the shoulders need not come all the way to elbow height. Last round, exhale. And press up. Inhale. From here, as you exhale, lower all the way to the belly. A bit bigger now in cobra. As you inhale, lift the heart. Let your hips sway from side to side, really stretch back and activate the legs. And then can you free the neck by letting the head move side to side. Lots of space between shoulders and ears. Exhale, lower the body to the earth. Tuck the toes, option to lift the knees here. Hug the elbows in with your inhale, plank pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. On your inhale, gaze forward, bend your knees, lift your heels. And then step your feet to your hands, forward bend. Inhale, halfway lift your spine. And then as you exhale, fold. Inhale, rise, stretch your arms overhead, send the gaze up. Exhale, let the hands melt through the heart. Last round of sun salutation A. Inhale, reach. And exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Feel that connection to your breath. Exhale, step back, plank. Pause for the inhale breath. We're turning up the heat even more now, so you can stay with the opening 2 variations, or join me on your exhale, lower down to chaturanga. And then as you inhale, press up, hug a knee in. Lower down, exhale. Inhale, other knee in. Twice more each side. Exhale. And inhale, hug the knee to chest. Last one. So coming from chaturanga to core plank. This time as you exhale, lower all the way to the belly. Release your hands, wiggle your fingers. So option to stay with cobra here or exploring upward dog. If you're moving into upward dog, fingertips about aligned with the shoulders, so the hands are pretty far back. Draw the elbows into the midline. Begin to drag your hands back toward your feet, and then elevate the heart, straighten the arms, lift the hips, thighs, and shins off the mat. So hands and tops of the feet are your touch points, your pillars of support. Upward dog, stretch back through the legs. Collarbones shine open. Exhale, downward facing dog. Enjoy an additional breath or 2 here, just creating that length in the spine by wrapping the inner upper arm bones forward, shining the sitting bones back, maybe lifting the heels high, bending the knees deeply until you really feel expansion through the spine. And then you can start to straighten the legs perhaps, maybe the heels find the earth. So in downward dog, our priority is really lengthening the spine. Inhale, gaze forward, bend your knees, lift your heels. And as you exhale, step your feet to your hands, forward bend. Inhale, halfway lift your spine. And as you exhale, fold. Inhale, rise, reach your arms overhead. And on the exhale, the hands melt down through the heart. Relax your arms by your sides. Just noticing after those opening waves of movement, how your body feels. Maybe a deeper connection to breath now, mapping your movement onto your natural rhythm. We'll continue to heat the body here, bring the big toes to touch. So the ovulatory phase, we have this rising energy. So we're leveraging that here in more of a solar practice. With your inhale, chair pose, sink the hips low, reach the arms high. Notice the iterative process here as you sink deep into the hips. Maybe your torso comes forward. Can you keep that in the hips and re-extend the spine? As you do that, your low ribs puff out. Can you keep the other actions? Draw hip points and low ribs together. So really creating the circular energy until you drop into your truest alignment. Let your hands find your heart. And a bit of quick-paced, fiery movement here. So as you inhale, you'll step 1 foot back into a lunge, and then right back to chair on the exhale. It looks like this. Inhale, exhale. Inhale. It's a bit of a quicker pace. Inhale back. Exhale together. Inhale, reach. Exhale, sit low. Find that rhythm of your breath. Keep the heart elevated. Last 3 each side. Here we go. 2 more. Last one. Pause in chair. Enjoy your breath. Notice now the heat, the power in your legs, the power in your breath. As you're ready, reach the arms overhead, chair pose, inhale. Exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale, halfway lift. As you exhale, step back to plank. Pause for the inhale and then your choice here. We have lots of options that you explore during our sun salutation A. So take them here, either straight back to downward dog. Maybe you come forward to chaturanga. Maybe you lower to the belly or just roll over the toes for upward dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Big breath in. Slow breath out. As you're ready, inhale, stretch your right leg up and back. It need not look any particular way. Just find where your body naturally wants to go. And as you exhale, step your right foot through between your hands. Find your strong lunge here. As you inhale, reach the arms up and overhead. So reconnecting with that lunge shape in the legs. So right shin moves forward, left heel stretches back. Right hip descends, and the left thigh gets strong and buoyant, like it's moving up. Reach the arms overhead, interlace your fingers, release index finger and thumb. So this is Agni or Shiva mudra, very heating mudra, where we squeeze the upper arm bones into the ears and let your shoulders broaden and open here. Knit low ribs to hip points. Big breath in. As you exhale, lower your back knee to the earth. You can keep your toes tucked or untucked, whatever feels best for you. And then interlace your fingers, bring them to the back of your head. Let the elbows broaden out wide first, and let the spine stay upright, so not quite back bending yet. From here, wrap your elbows to the front of your mat. So they come in, you can see them in your peripheral vision. As you do this, begin to send your elbows skyward, lean your head into your hands. Find that gentle back bend in the upper back first, and then begin to deepen. So maybe you bend the right knee a bit deeper, press the shoulder blades onto the back, and use the strength in your upper body to lean back. Cradling your head in your hands to help keep the neck long. Stretch the elbows skyward. Come back up through center. Let your spine be upright. Let the elbows open. And then find Shiva Mudra once again here. This time, let it come out in front. So you're reaching the fingertips out of the shoulders. Can you plug the shoulders back into the joints? So draw the heads of the arm bones back. And then unclasp the hands, begin to twist the right arm open. Keep the hips square to the front, energy to the midline with the inner thigh, so they squeeze to the midline. That helps create your base so that you can twist. Take your left hand now to the inside of your right foot and find kind of a gentle opening here. You can stay here for a few breaths, really just exploring a bit of hip opening as you rotate, or add in the front body stretch, bending the back knee, reaching for any place on that back foot that your hand connects. So you can come out of the lunge a bit, hug that left heel to sitting bone, and then re-enter now, coming onto the top of the left thigh. Really feel that traction, that physical stretch in the front of the left thigh. Can you then extend the heart? So you're stretching the entire back body at once. Slowly come out here. Let your right hand frame your right foot. So both hands down now. And then from your right hip crease, begin to slide the hips back, straightening that right leg any amount. Let the right toes move towards the sky. So flexing that foot, press down through the right heel and magnetize the right heel toward the right sitting bone. So it's like you're trying to drag it along the mat. What that does is engages the back of the right thigh so it can stay active as you stretch. Reach your heart towards your right big toe. And then just explore, maybe pressing through the inner edge of the foot a bit more and then the outer edge. Different sensations here. Last big breath. And then slowly roll forward back into your lunge. Hands touch down. Tuck your back toes, lift the back knee. And your choice, you can step back to plank, or as you step back, let that right foot hover. Find one-legged high plank first, square the hips, and then both feet down to lower to the earth or hover in chaturanga. Find your back bend, cobra or up dog on the inhale. And as you exhale, downward facing dog. Use this posture to check in. Notice the right and left leg. How are they different? You might find your right side body a little bit longer. You can really experience that here. Checking in, mind-body connection. As you're ready, left leg rises. Inhale. Exhale, step your left foot through between your hands. Strong lunge here. Begin to rise. Inhale, crescent lunge. Find those 4 movements. Left hip crease drops down. The right thigh buoyant and strong. Left shin moves forward, right heel moves back. Reaching the arms overhead, interlace the fingers, releasing index and thumb for Shiva Mudra. Rather than puffing the low ribs, can you integrate the low belly, melt the hips down, stretch the fingers skyward. Big inhale breath. And on your exhale, lower the back knee down. You can keep the toes tucked or untucked. And then let the hands, fingers interlace, hands come to the back of the head, elbows nice and wide. Find expansion here first. Keep that space in the chest as you begin to wrap the elbows forward. Notice as you wrap the elbows, can you drop the shoulders away from the ears? Keep the low belly integrated and then slowly begin to send your elbows to the sky. Really press down through your back shin for support. And then lift the elbows a bit more. Work into the upper back without shrugging the shoulders. Press your head into your hands. Maybe deepen into the lunge. Slowly come back through center. Let the elbows open. And then re-extend the arms. Find Shiva Mudra, but this time reaching it forward. Plug the heads of the arm bones in so that shoulder stays integrated. Release the clasp here. Open the left arm to the side. Deep twist in the belly. So using the strength of the belly to rotate. Let your right hand touch down now. Left arm extends high. And again, you can stay here, just kind of allowing the right hip flexor to melt down to the ground. Find that deep stretch. Or come onto the top of the right thigh, bend the back knee, reach for the foot with your left hand. So again, coming out a bit, connect heel to sitting bone, and then re-enter the pose, finding space and length across the front side. Slowly releasing as you're ready. Both hands touch down. Just let the hips sway, kind of reintegrate the right hip flexor after that deep stretch. And then from the left hip crease, begin to straighten the left leg. Melt the upper body over the left leg. Flex the left foot. Press the left heel down. Drag it energetically back. Reaching the heart toward your left big toe. And really trying to connect your belly to your left thigh. As best as you can, keeping the back hip directly over the knee so it's not coming too far back. We're really focusing the stretch in the back of the front leg. As you're ready, roll through your lunge. Lift the back knee. Step back either to plank or let that left leg hover for a breath. And then both feet down as you lower into your flow. Can come through your vinyasa or straight back to downward dog. As you inhale, gaze forward, bend your knees, lift your heels. And your choice, you can create a bit of buoyancy here to hop forward or step forward. If you're hopping, exhale the breath completely, and with the breath held out, hop and float forward. Inhale, lift the spine halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, chair pose. Pause here for a moment. Let the hands come to the heart. So shift the weight back so you're deeply bending in the knees. And then start to lift your heels, come onto the balls of your feet. Nice and slowly as you can, lower hips to the heels. Bring your hands to the mat. You might hop back to create a bit more space. And then creating a bit of strength, a bit of playfulness by shifting weight into the hands. You're going to hop from the balls of your feet to your shins, but landing as softly as you can. So really creating some hang time with weight in the hands. So coming to the shins, finding your tabletop here, just arranging yourself on the mat so that you have plenty of space. With your inhale, stretch your right leg back in space, square the hips. Reach the left arm in the opposite direction, square the shoulders. Find that stability here. And with your next exhale, tap knee to elbow. Inhale, reach. Exhale, coil through the belly. So we're creating some strength, some fire in the belly here to support our deepest back bend. So rather than just opening and stretching the front body, we're cultivating strength as well so that we can bend back safely. On your next extension, hold here. Bend your right knee, touch your left hand to your heart. Square the shoulder, square the hips. And then reach back any amount. Maybe you connect left hand to right foot. So you can stay here, just creating a bit of a quad stretch, or begin to offer the back bend by pressing your foot into your hand into your foot. Notice if your knee wants to splay out, hug the energy to the midline. So imagine your inner thighs hugging together to support you. And this really moves the stretch to the hip flexors, to the low belly, rather than letting it, the extension happen by letting the hip open. Last big breath here. And slowly come down. Knee touches down, hand touches down. Sway the hips side to side here. Resist the urge to round the spine right away. So we will have an opportunity for counter pose, but we're going to enter the second side first. So left leg stretches back on an inhale, square the hips, then reach your right arm forward. Lengthen the body in opposite directions. Big inhale. As you exhale, coil, knee to elbow. Inhale. So you'll find a bit of counter pose here to that back bend by a gentle rounding in the spine and creating a bit of engagement in the belly. So that helps bring the spine back to balance before we enter the second side. Last 3 here. 2. And last one. This next round, reach out, pause here. Bend the back knee. Touch your right hand to your heart. And then sweep that hand around. So squaring the shoulders, maybe your hand and foot connect. So your options here, just creating the stretch in the quadricep, or moving into a fuller expression of the back bend. Pressing foot into hand, hand into foot. Can you really root down through the right shin to lengthen the low back so that there's no pinching, there's no points of restriction in the spine. Start to experience your breath elevated. Hug the inner knees together. Last one here. And release. Sway the hips side to side. Before we move into something of a forward bend, we'll just add a bit of rotation to neutralize the spine. So as you inhale, right arm threads under left. Thread the needle here. Right ear, right temple to the earth. As best as you can, keeping your hips square. Letting the hip creases lift up and back. Come back through center on your inhale. Switching sides now, left arm under. So just allowing the upper back to rotate a bit. Letting all of the sensation in your spine dissolve and permeate the rest of your body. So we're sort of unlocking that natural energy in the body through the spine. Come back up through center. Gentle cat spine here, just ever so slightly curling the tail under, pressing through the hands to round the upper back. And then keep your hips over your knees. Begin to walk your hands out into puppy pose. And for this round of puppy pose, let your forearms touch down. So bring the elbows to the earth. Bring your palms to touch. And as you do this, can you press the elbows into the mat and then soften your heart toward your thighs? Maybe release the forehead down. This really creates some stretch in the shoulders, the armpits. So we're just preparing for deeper expressions in back bending. You might bring your thumbs to your upper back. And then once again, pressing through the elbows, dragging the heart towards the thighs. Stretching the backs of the arms here. As you're ready, re-extend the arms, unfold into your downward facing dog. Inhale, gaze forward, bend your knees, lift your heels. Your choice, either exhaling, emptying, and hopping forward, or stepping feet to hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Chair pose, inhale. And exhale, rise to stand. We'll enter right into our next wave. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Your choice now. You can step back to plank or add a bit of fire by hopping back and landing with bent elbows in chaturanga. So on the exhale, hopping back, floating the body down, and then moving through on the inhale to your back bend, connecting in downward dog. So the hopping back, you can take it or leave it. It adds a bit of playfulness, which can be something we're more open to in the ovulatory phase. With your next breath in, reach the right leg up and back. Exhale, step the right foot through between your hands. Position the feet for warrior one. So back heel turns down, back toes at 45 degrees. Feel that stretch in the back of the left leg. As you're ready, inhale, rise in warrior one. Find your position here first. So separating the thigh bones, drawing the right hip crease back in space, and then letting the shoulders rotate freely. So can you square the shoulders all the way to the front of your mat? From here, take left arm under right, so cross the arms, and then wrap elbows, forearms, wrists, and press the palms together for eagle arms. So here, if this is too much in the wrists, you can bring backs of the hands together. You can even just reach for opposite shoulders. So finding that shoulder opener here, keep the stable foundation in the legs. And then if you have your hands up, touch your thumbs to your third eye. And then reach the thumbs and third eye skyward. Send your elbows up. Coil into the back of the heart. Inhale here. And as you exhale, begin to lean forward, stretch your arms forward, crown forward. Come onto the ball of the back foot. And then transfer weight from left foot to right. Let that left leg float up. Square the hips. Magnetize inner thighs to the midline. Begin to hug the left knee into chest as you slowly rise. From here, crossing left leg over right. Eagle legs. Your choices are to kickstand the left toes or wrap them around your left calf. Can you mirror the action in your arms in your legs? So hug inner thighs to midline. Squeeze the knees, the shins together. Can you float the shoulders over the hips if they're still leaning forward? And then bend a little deeper into that right knee. Last big breath here. Slowly begin to unwind the legs. And then let the arms be free. Float them down to the ground. Extend your left leg high, standing splits. Notice if your left hip wants to pop open. Can you level the hip points? Lift your right hip crease high, drop your left hip point down, and then stretch, elongate through the left leg. So working into the back of the right leg here, you might even find a bit of balance by wrapping right arm around that calf, maybe left hand as well. Again, this is that playful opportunity here. If you fall out, come back in. And then release both hands, slowly let the left toes touch down. Your choice. You have the option to come into your one-legged high plank. Feels really good as a counter pose to the stretch as we engage the glutes. And then for your exhale, both feet touch down. You can come all the way to the earth, offering cobra or baby cobra here. And then in your own way, coming back to downward dog. Enjoy a breath or two here. Then we'll move into the second side. As you're ready, inhale, left leg rises. Exhale, step your left foot through between your hands. Prepare the feet for warrior one. So that back heel turns flat, toes at 45 degrees. Feel that connection of the knife edge of the back foot to the earth. Deep bend in the left knee. Rise up on the inhale, warrior one. Square the shoulders, knit hip points to low ribs. This time, take your right arm under the left. Find eagle arms once again. Acknowledge if one side feels a bit more sticky. Maybe you take a different variation on this side. And then with the stability in the legs, bring your thumbs to your third eye. Start to send the elbows in that arc up towards the sky. Can you shift energy into the back of the heart here? Neck stays long. Release any gripping in the jaw and the face. And then slowly begin to reach forward. Come onto the ball of the back foot. Transfer weight from the right foot to the left. Let that right leg float in space. Find stability in the left foot, spreading all 5 toes. And then hug the right knee into your chest as you rise. Preparing to enter eagle pose here. Finding your balance first. Steady your gaze on a fixed point. Wrap the right leg around. You can always kickstand for more stability here. And then we iterate. So let the shoulders float over the hips. Bend a bit deeper into the left knee. Maybe you lift your elbows a bit higher as you soften the shoulders down away from the ears. Last big breath here. And with your next breath, releasing the legs, sending the right leg back as you reach both hands to the mat. Standing splits. So the key here, make sure you're in the ball mound of that left foot. Square the hips. So the weight in the left heel is very light. This helps keep the alignment of hip over the ankle. You can relax your head and neck. And then see if you can straighten both legs. Really reach into the earth and up to the sky. You have the choice here to create a bit of balance if you like. Wrapping left arm around and then playing with both arms. You might fall out. That's okay. Just come back in. And then both hands touch down. As slowly as you can, lower right toes to the earth. And you can find your counter pose now for the left leg, stretching it back into one-legged high plank, engaging the glutes here. So finding that reintegration. And then both feet come down, move through your vinyasa. So for me, it feels better to lower to the earth and find cobra here. And then pressing back into downward dog as you're ready. Unfolding, unraveling, unwinding. Enjoy one full breath here, in through the nose and out through the mouth. As you inhale, gaze forward, bend your knees, lift your heels. Your choice, either exhaling to float forward without breath or stepping the feet to hands. So it's an exhale, hold the breath out to float forward. Inhale, lift halfway. And exhale, fold. Let your big toes touch. Inhale, chair pose. Sink the hips low. Bring the hands to the heart. Start to lift your heels, come onto the ball mounds of your feet. And then as slowly as you can, keeping the spine upright, can you lower into ball pose? Hands touch the mat. You might hop back a bit to create some space. Then again, we're just hopping to the shins here, so shifting weight into the hands, landing softly on the shins. Untuck your toes, press the tops of the feet into the mat. Feel that connection, that groundedness as you come to a kneeling shape. And then we'll reach the arms overhead. And as you exhale, I want you to think of the entire body from the knees all the way to the crown, moving as a unit. So one line back, one line forward. So only come as far back as you can without rounding or opening, without sort of compromising that axis of the spine. So we'll move through some rhythmic vinyasa here. As you lean back, reach the arms forward, kind of as a counterweight, and then press through the shins, lift up, engage the glutes. So exhale, lower back. Inhale, fill up with breath. Exhale, release back. You might even press the hands together. Inhale, reach up. Really press through the shins, the tops of the feet. You'll feel the muscles in the legs fire. So we need that integration through the legs to support deeper back bends. Last one here. Exhale, lean back, pause for a breath. Press through the tops of the feet, spread the toes, and come up. Release your hands by your sides. You might take your hands to your sacrum and just lift up through the heart for a moment. So we're not moving into a deep back bend here, just creating a bit of length. Then hands touch down. Find your tabletop. Let your forearms touch to the mat. And then your choice here, we're moving into dolphin pose where we'll lift the knees. So we'll have downward dog in the lower body with forearms down. If this feels uncomfortable in your shoulders or your wrists, you can always bring the palms to touch and create more of a pyramid in the forearms. So find your positioning there. With the forearms pressing down, begin to soften the heart towards the thighs. Tuck the toes under, and then in your own way, begin to lift the hips skyward. So you can keep the heels high up off the mat here. Our focus, our priority now is creating space and lengthen the shoulders. Can you plug the heads of the arm bones into the shoulders and then move the heart and the belly towards the thighs? Press down once again through the forearms. So creating both strength, space, awareness in the shoulders and the upper back. Let your knees touch down and slowly begin to come out. So you can create a bit of a cat spine here, just letting go in the shoulders. And then from the shins, we'll create that bit of buoyancy, a bit of shifting weight into the hands. And we're going to hop back to ball pose. So from the shins, hopping the feet between the hands. Let the heels root down. Inhale, chair pose. Exhale, rise to stand. Entering another wave of flow here. Inhale, chair pose. Sink the hips, reach the arms. As you exhale, fold over your legs. Inhale, halfway lift your spine. And on the exhale, step or float back through your vinyasa. So if you're floating back, land with bent elbows. Create that bit of shock absorption. And we'll connect in downward dog. And your next inhale, right leg stretches up and back. Bend the knee, open the hip. Square the shoulders. So drop that right armpit down. And then on your exhale, hug the knee to chest, step the right foot through. Prepare the feet for warrior two. This time, front heel bisects the back arch. Outer edge of back foot parallels the short edge of your mat. Wrap the right sitting bone under. Rise in warrior two. Feel where your arms are level, shoulders directly over the hips. As you melt the hips down, can you telescope the ribs out of the pelvis? Soften the shoulders, gaze over right fingertips. Begin to wrap the left arm around. If you can, find the top of your right thigh with your left hand and offer a gentle anchoring there. With your inhale, turn your right palm up, reach back, reverse warrior. Feel length in the side of the waist. Inflate the right ribs. And slowly come out, begin to straighten the right leg. Heel toe the back foot in until you can level the pelvis. So shortening the stance a bit here as we prepare for triangle pose, as much as you need to. Offer the right palm forward. And as you inhale, stretch the right fingertips forward, right hip crease back. So you're creating length along the right side. And then right hand touches down. Gaze at your right foot here. Wrap your right hip underneath you and create as much length as you can from right hip crease to right armpit. Maybe you send your gaze over your left shoulder. If you have a block, now is the time to use it. Taking your bottom hand, just elevating the surface of the floor a bit here. And then gaze down at your right foot. Begin to bend deeply into the right knee. Take your right fingertips to the mat or to a block. And then slowly transfer weight from the left foot to the right foot. Find half moon, so the left leg extends straight back, horizontal, maybe even a bit elevated. Find strength here. And as you gaze down the front line of your body, you should be able to see your toes wiggle. So you know that your leg is not behind you or in front. It's in that same plane. You can release the left hand down the left side waist. Begin to bend the left leg any amount. Really root down through the ball mound of the right foot, and then maybe left hand connects to the left foot, Begin to stack the hips, stack the shoulders. And then you can stay here with the quadricep stretch, or like we did in half bow from tabletop, begin to press the foot into the hands, hands into the foot. Extend the spine, find that back bend. And then slowly releasing. Left hand to left hip, control the descent of your back foot as you lower in. To your lunge, both hands touch down. Square the hips here. And then moving through, coming through either that one-legged high plank or plank pose. And then both feet touch down as you move through your waves of breath to reset. For me, keeping the knees down now as I shift back to downward facing dog. Second side here, inhale, left leg rises. Bend the knee, open the hip. On your exhale, step the left foot through, prepare the feet for warrior two. So create that stable alignment first where you have pillars of support in the hands. As you're ready, rise in warrior two. Shoulders over the hips. Lift out of the pelvis as the legs bend a bit deeper. Start to wrap your right arm around. Find your left hip crease, top of the left thigh. Use that gentle touch to anchor the left hip crease down. Feel that stretch across the right shoulder. So creating as much length as you can from inner left knee to inner right shoulder. Turn the left palm up, reverse warrior. Breathing into the left side waist. And as you come up, begin to straighten that left leg as you heel toe the right heel, the right foot a bit closer. So find kind of a shortened, stable stance here that'll help kind of protect the joints. So joint laxity increases during ovulation. So we really want to focus on engaging, supporting muscles by shortening the stance, by hugging to the center. So we're not overloading, overstretching, overexerting in the joints. As you're ready, triangle. Reach the left fingertips forward. Left hand touches down, wherever it lands on your left leg. Rotate the right shoulder open. Wrap the left sitting bone underneath you. So yoga can be one of those very soothing practices for the ovulatory phase, but we do need to protect the joints. So here, that's adding a micro bend to the front knee. That's engaging the legs, the muscles supporting your joints. Gaze down at your left foot. Bend deeply into the right knee. You can free your right hand behind you. And then slowly, left fingertips touch down to the mat or a block. Transfer weight from the right foot to the left. Half moon B. Stack the hips, stack the shoulders. Find that alignment first. Then you might begin to bend the right knee, reach your right fingertips. Maybe it connects. Maybe hand and foot connect. And then this can be a lot of work right here with the knee bent deeply. Or maybe you start to express a bit of a back bend. Slowly unwinding as you're ready. Control that leg as it lowers down. Both hands touch down, square the hips, find your lunge. So you can choose here to flow through or maybe just connect in downward dog. As you inhale, gaze forward, bend your knees, lift your heels. And on the exhale, step or float your feet to your hands. Big toes touch, inhale, halfway lift. And as you exhale, fold. Inhale, chair pose. And exhale, rise to stand. We have one more big offering in a back bend before we'll come down onto the back. So I'll turn to face you here. I'll demonstrate one round of our king dancer posture facing forward, and then I'll show one from the side so you can see both. But I'll be mirroring you in movement. So bring your right leg to the mat. Hug your left knee into your chest. Create separation between the thigh bones here. Know that you can move both legs freely, independently. Then take your left foot behind you and turn your left palm up so the thumb faces back behind you. Reach for the inner edge of your left foot. Hug the knees to the midline. Hug the left inner heel to the midline. And then square the shoulders to the front. Knit low ribs to hip points. Reach your right arm high. From here, it's just like we've been doing. You can stay in this shape. It creates lots of length across the front line of the body. Or begin to offer the back bend by pressing the foot into the hand, hand into the foot. As best as you can, keeping the torso upright. You might notice that your left knee wants to pop out. Can you hug it into the center? Find that full expression here. Maybe you let the corners of your mouth lift into a smile. Really press down through all four corners of your right foot. Last big breath in dancer. And slowly release. Shake out your feet. Take the heels of your hands, bring them to your hip creases. And just for a moment, bend your knees deeply, shrug the shoulders, and press into your hip creases. So this creates a bit of release for the low back. Kind of instant traction there. And then as you're ready, I'll turn to show you from this side now. So you're coming into your left foot. Soften the shoulders, hug right knee into chest. And then take your right foot behind you. Hug the knees to the center, so let the knees be in one line. And then offer the right palm out to the side, thumb behind you. Reach for the inner edge of right foot. You might start with your left hand to heart, or maybe reach it overhead. And then your option is to find length here, or slowly begin to offer the back bend. So pressing the foot strongly into the hand, hand pulls back, equal and opposite action into the foot. Draw that right knee into the center, lift through the torso. So you're stretching the spine in opposite directions to create space between the bones. Feel your fullest expression here, coming out and in as needed for balance. Last big breath. And slowly release. Let your the heels of your hands come to your hip creases. Shrug the shoulders, bend the knees. Once again, just finding that release in the low spine. And then gradually softening a bit more. You can keep the feet nice and wide. Just lower the hands to the mat. Sway the hips a bit. So the key here, not to round too much right away, but really just keeping a long spine. And then nice and slowly, we'll lower onto the knees, cross at the ankles, roll over into a seat. So we're making the journey onto the back here. Let your feet touch down and let your legs be parallel. So outer edges of the feet about hips width distance apart. We'll move into bridge pose now, really activating the glutes. So as you're ready, shoulders stay relaxed. Begin to lift the hips skyward. Without puffing in the low ribs, can you bring low ribs to hip points and then lift the glutes a bit higher? Imagine squeezing a block between your inner knees. And then can you dial the shoulder blades underneath you? Bring the backs of your arms to the mat. Press the backs of your arms in. Maybe the fingertips point up. Really engage the glutes here, bridge pose. And then slowly soften the spine back down onto the mat. So we're moving through this progression here, deepening as we go, if you choose. Might feel good just to create that activation in the glutes and use this series instead as a counter pose. So just listening to your body for what it needs. As you're ready, press into the feet, lift the hips, crawl the shoulders underneath you. You might interlace the fingers and press the pinky side of the hand into the mat. Or a slightly deeper expression, you might reach for your heels or your ankles, finding that clasp and then reopening, pressing the shins away, the hips high, stretching the back of the neck, letting it stay nice and long, and avoid the tendency to look side to side. So just listening for instruction here rather than letting your gaze and your head and neck move. Then slowly unrolling, unraveling down to the mat. So we've been creating the key actions throughout this practice of back bending, where we have activation in the legs, expansion in the heart, lots of mobility in the shoulders. So I invite you here to practice another round of bridge, if that feels most supportive, or you can join me in wheel. So in wheel, again, so important not to really let the gaze float side to side. So as best as you can, just listening for instruction. You can hug your heels a bit closer to your sitting bones. And then prepare the arms. Reach your fingertips straight up, so the arms come straight out of the chest. And then hug the heads of the arm bones back and into the joint. Bring the palms to the mat behind you, so fingertips facing your heels. Hug the inner elbows to the midline. Then from here, we'll lift onto the crown of the head first. So lift the hips, and then come onto the crown. Plug the heads of the arm bones back, feel extension in the upper back. And then maybe you choose to press up into your wheel pose. For me, naturally, my heels want to pop up because I have a bit of tightness in the low back. So you might choose that option. Hug the inner thighs together. Maybe the heels ground down to the earth. Find a few breaths here, maybe rocking back and forth. And then slowly, controlled, come down to the mat. Bring a hand to belly, hand to heart. Let your knees knock in. So give your spine a few rounds of breath here to relax before we move into a counter pose. So just letting your body absorb all of that energy that you've just unlocked, be it through a deep back bend or perhaps just the cumulative building of this practice. And then you can let your hands find your hips. Just windshield wiper the legs side to side. That should feel very soothing in the low back. Bit of a twist here. Then just like we did standing, bring the heels of your hands to your hip creases. Let your shins come to 90 degrees. Press your hands into your hip creases. Draw your thighs back into your hands. You should feel some length in the low back and some contraction in the low belly. So just creating an isometric counter pose to that deep back bend. Then let your left leg extend long, hug your right knee into chest. Offer a twist now, right knee to the left side, send your gaze over your right shoulder. So just allowing the low back to unwind. Let everything be heavy here. Coming back through center as you're ready, switching sides. So left knee hugs to chest. And then send the left knee over to the right, gaze over the left shoulder here. Coming out as you're ready, so long as you feel kind of a neutral sensation in the spine, so the tingling has passed and you feel kind of that soothing. You can now come into your counter pose, so hugging the knees into the chest and then bringing the chin toward the knees or even forehead toward the knees, just allowing the spine to round completely. And then let that all go. Feet touch down. Let your knees knock in and bring your hands onto your body wherever they land most naturally. We'll just be here for a few moments to really let the practice settle into the body. So particularly in these heart-opening solar practices, it can be a bit of a jolt if we just jump right back in to wherever our day is taking us. So just giving yourself these few moments of transition to softly land into this new energetic space. Your spine is a bit longer, you're probably a bit taller. So just letting yourself rest in that glow, such that you can make a conscious choice about how you want to step into your day, the rest of your week, the rest of this cycle, as we hit the peak, this pivotal point before shifting into the second half. I encourage you, as always, to stay in this resting posture as long as you can, certainly as long as you need. And only when you're ready, journeying up to a seat, knowing that you can stay long after this video ends. It can be very nice to just rest in that energetic space after backbending practice. And for now, I just want to thank you so much for showing up, for flowing and breathing with me, and for letting your body be moved.